You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZWLP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is YPC coming back to you live. It is a wonderful new year, and yes, this is our first episode of the year, and unfortunately, my co-host is not by my side. He is extremely busy, and for those of you that know who he is, you know exactly why he's busy. He's got a lot going on in this here city of Conroe, and Conroe itself has a lot going on, so it's such a blessing to be this show, this podcast that's bringing all of this motivational content to all of our local and small entrepreneurs here. So I hope everybody is having a great new year. If you don't already follow YPC, please go ahead and do so. Type in on any of your social media networks, YPC936, anything except for Twitter, because Twitter's outdated. So YPC936 all across the board, and start to follow us because we're going to continue to have great content as we go on this year. So if you have a New Year's goal or New Year resolution, below this video, could you comment that, especially if it has to do with your business? We would like to be able to keep you accountable and see what all of y'all want to be able to accomplish in 2022. Me personally, I think resolutions are a little bit overrated and done out of emotion. However, goals and New Year business goals, in my opinion, are very, very efficient. So if you've seen what you did last year, you already went and you filed your taxes and you have these new goals or these new heights or these things you want to go ahead and start implementing or try to reach this year, whatever those are, put in the comments, this is me, this is what I do, this is what I want to be able to accomplish and want to be able to achieve this year. That would be awesome. And if you haven't already been on the show, we might even be able to pick you out for you to come on the show here in the future. We really want to be that support system for our local community. Now, New Year's for me. I know y'all all want to hear about that. I do, because I don't remember. But it has been last year was awesome. We reached new business heights as far as the company goes. We had a lot of great things that we accomplished with YPC. We started off as just a podcast, and we had some sort of a vision that wasn't really organized. And let's face it, we're still working on some of the organizational aspects, but we have things planned and we have things on paper, and we've been able to grow from a podcast to a monthly seminar, which we might be taking to quarterly. We still haven't completely decided about that. Obviously, we're not going to have one this month, but we might next month. San and I are talking about that right now, and we're trying to figure that out. But we're also going to have what we're calling a baby shark implementation, where we have this investment opportunity for local up-and-coming businesses. So soon, expect a rollout on this, where we're going to have a panel of investors who are going to be willing to make donations of up to around $10,000 per different business venture. We're going to have a large vetting process for each one of these. We're going to be asking you to send in your plans, send in your products, so we can, whatever it is that you're trying to sell or whatever it is that you're trying to build, so we can review that and have our investors review that and see who we want to have come in for that opportunity. We're really hoping to be able to help some people that have a vision but don't necessarily have the funding or the capital to put that vision into a reality. We're trying to help those people get started. So we're excited to be able to unroll that and hopefully help change a lot of lives. That was something that, as YPC got going, we started to notice that there was a great impact. There was a great impact on not just motivating people or shedding the light on new tactics to be able to overcome obstacles or on how to stick to the business despite the problems that seem to be surfacing, because it's those problems in life that will make or break our success. They'll make or break us as a person. And it's important to remember that the problems are there for a reason. They're there for us to solve them. And as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, or somebody that wants to be an entrepreneur or a business owner, each problem that you solve will help elevate you to a new level, whether it's in your personal life or whether it's in your business life. So that's, again, if you're just tuning in, or if this is your first time, or if you're just coming across us this year, then that's something that, we try to zero in on. That's one of the things that separates our podcast from other podcasts. We don't just have people on to try to sell you their product. That's not what we're about. We're here to show you exactly what it's like, the real nitty gritty on what it's like to be a business owner or be an entrepreneur, the problems that come along the way, how people started, what were the problems that they were undergoing at that time, different trades, different types of business, all of these obstacles. What did it feel like? How did you overcome that? Talk to you, the audience, with some real life dirt on all of the downs and how they turn the downs into an up type of situation within their business. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's tough and you feel like you're on your own and you don't necessarily know what to do or how to overcome it. But because most of you, hopefully most of you, because you're that entrepreneur, you already have that problem solving attitude on, all right, we're just going to figure out a way to do this. We can't run away in fear from the problem or the business is going to fall. So not letting that fear fall within ourselves and we just act, because oftentimes we can overcome fear with a simple action. Start doing it. Start solving it. Don't think, just got to do. I don't know about you, but I like to think that most entrepreneurs are a little bit ADD. I know I'm a little bit ADD. And I know that my co-host is really ADD. That's right, son. I'm talking to you. So I guess I'll go ahead and tell you a couple of the problems that I had last year with my own business and how I overcame those. So last year I had a 463% growth within my company. And some of the largest problems that started to surface for me were time allocation, right? I'm a yes person. I like to tell everybody that I can help them. Yes. Oh, you need a little bit of help, or you want me to do this? Yes, I can help. That's what I want to do. That's the purpose behind. I want to help people. That's the purpose behind me and my company. Is I just want to help people. So me learning to say no that was my biggest problem of 2021. I've started 2022 off saying no a lot. I started to review the numbers and I started to review the time that I was outputting to certain endeavors or certain organizations or boards or groups that I decided to become a part of. And I started to put value next to those. Okay, how much money did this bring in, or how many people was I able to help during this process? How did this benefit my end goal? Because my end goal is to help as many people on the face of this earth as I can through health and wellness. That's a key. It's through this method. So if you have a goal and that goal is just to help people in general, and you don't really have a tactic on how to do it, right? I did have a tactic and I had a plan. But because of my personality, I kind of let that get ahead of me a little bit. So here we are. I've realized that. I've cut the strings on some things, and I'm sticking to my guns. And that's pretty much the first business goal that I have outside of the new staff that's being brought on, and I have new percentages of growth that I want to be able to meet, and obviously there's financial and growth goals that go along with that. But I think that my growth could have been above 463% last year if I were coming to that day-to-day action item of taking a breath before I tell somebody yes and promise somebody my time. Because time is something that we cannot get back. Remember, it's your most valuable asset. And that gets said a lot, but it gets said a lot because it's true. Your time is something that you will not ever get back. So if you're in business, or if you've experienced a similar issue, then start to think about that. And how can you take the thought and the recognition of that into action? So I've got it on my daily action item board. Remember to breathe before you say yes. So sometimes yes just comes out of my mouth before I breathe. It's just instinct. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do that. My wife knows about that very well. And it can turn into a large downfall. So that would be something that I would recommend based upon what I believe to be the largest problem I had of the 2021 year as far as my business growth went. So think about the time that you're allocating to certain things. How does that time come to benefit you? If you don't know your goal and how you're going to achieve your goal and why you're going to achieve that goal, then I would recommend figuring that out first. But if you already do, start looking at your time. Where's your time going? And if you're having these hours spent, depending upon where you're at, right? If me, I'm within this stage of I should be focusing a lot more on my business growth in order to get the business to be turnnkeyed. So I'm actually a business owner and not a business manager. So I should be turnnkeyed here in the next 2 years. In my plan, it's a year and 6 months. But as long as I stick to my guns, I'm not going to have to put forth that much work. The business will be running itself without me, and that's exciting. But if you're already at that point, I'm not speaking to you. If you're working toward it, I am speaking to you. Think about where your time's at. Think about, are you going out and hanging out with a bunch of people? Are you partying every night? Or are you focusing more on your business? Or are you joining all of these groups because people ask you to? Are these networking groups that you're a part of, or these business groups that you're a part of, are they really benefiting you? How much time is actually being spent with that? And then what does that come down to on an hourly rate? And then does that hourly rate equate to and or exceed the hourly rate you charge for yourself? Because if it doesn't, then you either need to make it work or you need to forget that and just pull on more people and find another way to do that, because there's tons of ways to market your business, tons. And just figure out where that value lies. All right, we have a wonderful guest coming on today. His name is Robert Green with Greenlight Movers, and we're super excited to have him on. He's got a super motivating story, and we're excited for him to speak to each and every one of you. Talk to y'all soon. Hey there, everybody. I'm Taylor Cobion with the OC Wellness in Conroe, Texas, and I'd like to start this off with a question. What's the most important part of your health? That's right, psychology. If your mind isn't in it, then you aren't in it, and that's the biggest part of my job, increasing your drive, energy, and personal happiness. While I'm looking for people experiencing chronic disease, pain, and fatigue, the first step to helping these people, aka you, is by assessing their and your mentality. The information and marketing out there can tend to lead you down a dark rabbit hole, but you've got to remember that your mind and body are what? An original. And you are the what? The captain. Together that's original captain, and that's what the OC stands for. Do you know anyone who visits the chiropractor but still doesn't experience lasting relief? If so, please send them my way. I'm Taylor Cobion, owner of the OC Wellness, reminding you to keep your health and wellness original.
Did you know there are more than 790 abused and neglected children currently in foster care in Montgomery County? Will you help make a difference? I'm Allie Stevens with Casa Child Advocates of Montgomery County. We train and support volunteers to be the voice of children in the foster care system. Kids are removed from their home because of abuse and neglect, and we need volunteers just like you to advocate for these children. To learn more about becoming an advocate, please visit CasaSpeaksForKids.com. That's CasaSpeaksForKids.com.
From the beginning, the main purpose of the Cooperative Extension Service has been to change human behavior by teaching people how to apply the results of scientific research. By utilizing a holistic, multi-level approach, Extension family and community health programs encourage health and well-being for everyone. Addressing values, concerns, and needs with reliable science-based information, Extension programs help people lead healthier lives. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
What's up, everybody? We are here, and we have the luxurious, the mean green moving machine, Robert Green. What's up, Robert?
What's up, my guy?
So before we go, what do you do? What's going on?
I try to create peace and happiness on the day of the move.
I love it.
Yes.
Tranquil?
Tranquil, yes.
Do you give massages?
I mean, I can. You may not like it. I might not hit all the right points. That's why I have my
But do you
friend
have somebody
Crystal.
for that?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Yes, she actually owes me a massage for my guys.
Uh-oh. There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So moving company called?
Greenlight Movers.
Awesome. Okay,
Yes.
Greenlight Movers. So how did Greenlight Movers begin?
So Greenlight Movers began, really started as when I was a kid. I moved a lot. I've been to like 10 different schools by the time I got to high school. So I went to 2 different high schools and went to like a few different elementary schools. And so it kind of started then. Grew up, knew what it meant to be emotionally invested in a move and know how it is to go from one place to another and leave family and friends behind. And then I finally got a part of a moving company. Worked for them for a bit and started my own company about 5 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, okay, almost a 5-year anniversary.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's halfway to 10.
it is.
Yeah.
Makes me feel old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're 50% old
Yeah.
at that point. I think. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what business years is in human years. I feel like it's a
I don't
little
either.
bit more than dogs. Maybe like 9.5 years is a year in
Yeah.
business years. But I'm not quite sure. So why did you move a lot when you were a kid?
My dad was first in the military,
Yeah.
so that, obviously moved a lot with that. And then he went into the aeronautics field. I think it's a proper term. He became an aircraft mechanic. And so we just moved a lot because of that as well. And he worked for Continental, which was Continental. Now it's United.
Yeah.
But we moved from place to place. He moved to, we lived in Fort Worth at one time. He had to go and move to Shreveport and come back on the weekends. We got tired of that. Then he moved to ExpressJet Continental in Richmond, then came to what we call Ben Continental, which is here in Houston. And we wanted to all be together as a family and not be moving around a bunch.
So, as a mover, or whether you own a company or you work in it, would you say that you have to have good organizational skills?
Yeah, you do. You really do.
So, since this all started as a kid, what were your toys like?
My toys?
Were they organized, or were they just all over the place?
I mean, that's a good question. They probably were organized because I was the only child. And so
Okay.
I was never able to get away with any mess. I did all the chores. I couldn't run away from it. So I'm pretty sure I was very organized. My stuffed animals are all lined up on my bed. Each one of them had names as well.
Dig
They
it.
had spots too.
I like it.
Yeah,
So it really did start as this childhood mission.
pretty much.
All right, I really
Unintentional though.
unintentional. I like how everything folded in though. So what sparked the transition from working for a moving company to saying, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. I can build this myself.
Yeah, well, I was a mover. I found a job on Craigslist. It was a mover. It's funny how that worked out. My life was full of moves. And then from then, I wanted to move up with that company. So I became an estimator, which meant that I go to people's homes or businesses, explain to them how the move's going to go, and then give them a total price for the entire move. And I just realized I really didn't like the company I worked for. They did really good at finding the business, not really good at taking care of the customers or the movers. And I really feel like in a business, you should take care of the customers and the people taking care of the job.
Agreed.
If they're both not happy, things don't go right. And if at the end of the day, the only person that is happy is the person that owns the company, and that is the manager, to me, that's an issue.
It is.
And I hated working for a company that was like that, which is the company I used to work for. And so I thought either I can work for another company and prove my point and have to build, climb up that ladder, or I can just start my own. And I ended up starting my own and realized I can run it myself as opposed to running it how they want it run.
So walk us through what's it like to start a moving business from the ground up.
It's a lot of work. You really have to have a really, really good network around, like people like you. I moved you.
You did, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody!
My guys had fun.
They did move me. They moved me and my wife, and it was awesome. And I loved he did do the estimate himself, and I loved the transparency behind it. It was great. The guys were great. The move was great. It was all great. Everything was green.
I appreciate that. Green means good.
Green means good. Yellow means so-so. Red means bad.
Yes.
Stop. Don't do that
No
anymore.
bueno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't use them again.
Yeah. So that's what it was. I just realized I couldn't really build what I wanted with another company, and you kind of have to, if you want something done the right way, you kind of have to do it yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So, was there a large financial investment in beginning the company?
So because I had to bootstrap everything, it was kind of a decision that I wanted to do my own business, and then the opportunity came up to where I kind of just had to start it. And so I kind of did it as I went. I had to start really small, figure out what do I need right now, what do I not need right now, or what can I get away with, or what can I rent as opposed to buying. And so it started out with whatever money I had, and I just built it up from there. And so I didn't have a large sum of money. I didn't have a big loan behind me or a big company behind me or a big investor. It was just whatever I had in my pocket, which wasn't much because I was buying a home at that time. So it was crazy timing. And so it was just figuring out.
Big risk.
Yeah, it was a big risk. Huge risk, but it's a huge reward. And I just realized that I couldn't work for a company that didn't care. And I just made it work. I found out the ways to make it work, had great people around me that I networked with that helped me figure out what I needed and what I didn't need. and just went on from there.
What was the first year like?
It was actually great. It was great. It was very stressful. It still is. I think business always is, unless you're really not involved in it. If you really want to do a good job, it's always going to be stressful. But my first year was a lot of hard work. I was on the truck that entire year. I was the mover. I was everything. So it was just a lot of...
You were the only mover?
Wasn't the only mover. There was times where I was the only mover.
There's some big items.
There was times. There was only a couple times where I was the only mover on a move. And fortunately, it worked out to where it was a move that was done in a course of 2 days. Nobody was in the office. It was an office move. And it was one story, and I had a lift gate. So it all worked out.
Okay.
And I learned a lot, the importance of a really good dolly and a really good four-way, some shrink wrap and some strong legs, because I used them. But yeah, that's basically the first year. That's what it was. It's a lot of doing things on your own, a lot of figuring out, a lot of networking, a lot of doing everything, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, and just a lot of stress, to be honest, and just trying to make it work for my kids.
What would you say during your first year, if there was one, what was one of the largest problems that you had or obstacles that you had to face?
My first year, I want to say this happened my first year. My first year was, the biggest obstacle was probably letting go. Realizing that I can't do everything and that I have to be able to give some sort of job to someone. I'm still dealing with that now.
Delegation.
Yes, delegation is still, it kills me now. I'm still trying to, get a good assistant now, but it's tough. Knowing somebody's out there and knowing I've spoke to that person, but just giving them that, like basically giving them my business, it feels like my baby.
Take care of them.
Yes, you have to. You got to make them happy. So
But
my
you have
customers are
kids,
happy.
right?
I do.
Do you ever have a babysitter?
Grandparents.
Okay, that's different. No strangers.
No strangers. With my kids, that's still the same thing. It's just not. Just you see a lot of stuff on TV.
You do,
especially here in Houston, and just it's my baby, so I got to make sure they're in good hands. And fortunately, we have it where either my mom's not working or her parents aren't working, my wife's parents aren't working, so it works out to where somebody can watch them most of the time, or sometimes we just can't do something.
Okay, so delegation and learning to let go was the biggest obstacle to overcome the first year. Is it still the biggest obstacle to overcome now, or are there some other obstacles that are going on that might have like saying, hey, this is a bit larger than that one?
Yeah, I would say that's still one of the biggest ones. That keeps me running around like crazy, trying to do everything, realizing I'm not as service as I should be because I am spread thin, but it's still the difficulty of having somebody in place that can take care of certain things and putting that trust in them. I've always had the what ifs in my head. What if this happens? What if they forget this? So that's still probably the number one or number two biggest issue or biggest problem that I come across, biggest hurdle. I'll say the other one is something that's always ongoing. I think it's just always trying to be the best I possibly can be. Having the best service, having the best people, giving the best type of moves. That's probably my biggest obstacle. Or I wouldn't really say biggest obstacle, but the thing that's always on my mind. I'm always want to make sure my customers are happy. That's something that's going to always be there. So it's really, I wouldn't really call it an obstacle or a hurdle. I'd more call it I don't know how to put it in words, but it's just something that I always want to make sure I take care of. It's always on my mind.
So I want to dive into that a little bit more. You stress about that?
About being the best?
Yeah.
Always.
Is it always going through your head?
Always.
You're always wondering if you made a mistake or if you could, what you can be doing better, if that person's happy or if everything's taken care of?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd call that an obstacle.
Yeah.
I'd definitely say that because you're stressing over it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of those, all right, because do you want to stress over that your entire life, or do you want to have some sense of confidence? Like, do you want to be 100% confident that everything's going smooth?
I mean, I'm confident everything goes smooth. I guess in the back of my mind, I have a mindset which is good for moving, but I'm always think about the worst, hope for the best. So whenever we're doing a move, I'm thinking about these million things this move's going to take all day. It's going to be, I got to put all these guys on it. It's going to take 12, 13, 14, 16 hours. The guys get out there, it's an 8-hour move. They get out there, it's a 10-hour move. Or they get out there, it's simple. They have this big, like we just did a dentist office off 1488 a few weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, and they were moving some big equipment. And I'm just thinking in my head, okay, they might need this. They're probably going to need my help. They're going to need this and that. Thinking, overly thinking. Then I get a call at 12 o'clock. Hey, we're done. Okay, well, good. I'm just an overthinker. And I wouldn't change it for anything because it does help me out in my business. When you overthink, you overprepare. And I always want to make sure I'm always overprepared. So I think with being the best, it's probably like maybe LeBron thinks about it. I hate to bring up LeBron, but let's I'm not a LeBron fan. I'm not really a big basketball fan, but anymore. But let's say Kobe, because Kobe's always going to be the GOAT. I would say it's probably Kobe. Kobe probably always thought, he wants to be the best. Maybe doesn't stress out so much because he puts in the work, but I'm sure there's still something in the back of his mind that he always wants to be the best. He's always worried about being the best. Always think about being the best. That's why he works so hard. He's always, first person on the court, last person off the court, because he's always want to be the best. That's kind of my mindset. Is I'm always going to think about being the best. It's always going to be maybe a hurdle or maybe a mindset about just what I need to do to be the best. I don't think it's ever going to change.
All right. So you have a crew now.
Mm-hmm.
Did it when you started and you were trying to figure out how to cut corners, it started out as just you as a mover, or did you find somebody to kind of help and aid with the jobs that came, or how did that work?
Say one thing: we never cut corners.
Yeah.
But again, what was your question? I just heard cut corners. Like, we don't do that.
Did you ever?
I know what you meant, though.
Yeah, sorry. Did you ever? So did it start with just you?
Mm-hmm.
Were you tackling all the jobs, or did you kind of find somebody to aid and assist with the job at the time?
Mm-hmm.
You just reach out, hey, do you need some work, or how did that go?
Yeah, fortunately, the big man upstairs is always looking down on me. Things always end up working out. And so at the time that I started my own business, people knew. I didn't try to tell anybody that was involved with the other moving company, because I didn't want to get any business from them or take anything from them to feel like I needed them to do anything, to be successful. And so I went off on my own, and I had one guy we just happened to meet. He was my Uber driver. And I was getting an Uber somewhere. It's just funny how things work out. And he was looking for work. And it was to the point where I had somebody else who was also experienced that I happened to just meet randomly, tested out their experience. They were good. And then I had the other guy. His name was Mark. He worked with me as well. And so I wasn't super busy. So I had the opportunity to go on these moves that only needed 2 or 3 people. And I was able to train Mark on those moves. And he was really all about customer service. So it worked out where God put the right people in the right place. And Mark came into play, and the other guy came into play as well. And we were able to take care of those moves. And then I had certain guys that I worked with before that were underneath me or on the trucks with me that heard about it. They were reaching out to me. So I said, yes, I do have a company, and they wanted to work for me. And I still have some of those guys working with me now, even years later. And so it kind of just happened by chance. I ended up meeting Mark, meeting the other guy as well. They worked out with us for a bit. Then I had the other guys that used to work with me that heard about us or heard about myself starting the company and wanted to work with me because they liked working underneath me before. And it kind of went on from there.
So first year, 2 to 3 people within Greenlight Movers.
Mm-hmm.
And then how many people do you have now?
Now we have between 8 to 10 guys, and
8 to
get ready
10.
to hire some more.
Okay. That's a large growth. And are there hurdles when it comes to pulling in that many employees?
Yes,
or that
it
many
definitely
people?
is.
Okay, what's that like?
The biggest hurdle is, having kids. You realize just trying to get everybody to get along with each other.
Your employees are your kids.
Yeah, they are my kids, pretty much. They're my family. Is the best way I put it. They may not be like kids. I may be like the uncle or
That's okay.
or something like that.
Brian definitely called them kids, so it's okay. And
I try not to, but that's the biggest hurdle is just getting people to get along with each other. Just sometimes realizing that we're here to work, not here to have fun. Or I know you may not necessarily like that person, but we're here just to work, go home to our families, make an income for our families. So that's probably the most difficult, which is sometimes getting guys to get along. Fortunately, for most of the years I've been in business, all these guys have known each other or their family. Like I've had like a father and son work for me. I've had cousins work for me, which I still do. And so a lot of these guys already get along together, or they've already known each other for some years. So I'd say the biggest hurdle is probably getting them to get along. The next one after that is if they're not experienced, getting them trained up to the point that I want them trained up at.
yeah.
That's probably the biggest hurdle is just trying to get them to the right quality standards that I have instead of just having them go out there and move any piece of furniture. Because some movers will just have them move whatever, and so it's easier. Hey, you got two legs, 2 arms?
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
So what can you put? Do you have a solution to like creating that peaceful environment for your staff, for the employees to try to keep everybody getting along?
One thing I've learned, this is more into the hiring aspect, is I was been told a lot to hire for fit, somebody that fits your culture, which I know if I'm hiring just for somebody's skill set, I may hire somebody who's not the nicest person, but because they're a grade A mover, they move everything perfect, I hire them on. But then they may be with a group of people that fit my culture, which is happiness, positivity, optimism, taking care of the customer service, Chick-fil-A type of service is what we push.
Oh, we're diving into that next.
Yes. So that's the service we try to push. So if I bring somebody on that doesn't mesh with that, they don't care about the customer's happiness, they just care about moving the furniture, they can ruin that whole culture. That one person.
They could ruin the move, and they could ruin it
everything.
for the customer too.
Exactly. They can ruin the move, they can ruin the customer's mood, they can ruin the crew's mood, they can ruin the entire company. If I just put them first and allow their bad attitude and whatever they may have, this negative, ruin the group or ruin the crew or ruin the business. So that's one of the things I would look at is, to keep everything good, keep everything happy, keep everybody happy is to hire for fit and not just for skill set. The other thing is just listen to people. Especially in my first 5 years now, I've learned a lot from customers, from my movers, from just random people down the street to just give suggestions. So I've learned that when you listen to your movers, the ones that are actually doing it, it goes a long way. And I was a mover myself before, so I always try to put the movers first because we're the ones doing the job. And then once they're happy, customers are happy.
Yeah.
As long as I look at my movers being happy, make sure I hear them out. Hey, I feel like I've been doing this. I feel like it's time, I should get a raise, or hey, I'm not too happy with this, or hey, I have an issue with this person, or I have something going on with this. Talking with them right away instead of pushing it off plays a huge role in them being happy. They actually see that I care, that I'm not just pushing them off. They're not just another number, another person. They feel like a real person. They feel like they're actually being taken care of and they're a part of something. So I realized that is probably a really big thing next to hiring for fit is listening to your people.
I
Showing
agree
that
with
you
that.
care.
Yeah, because I like to think that most people are involved in a service-oriented industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's predominantly the amount of jobs that are out there, some service-oriented type of industry. And if you don't take care of the people that are doing the servicing from a management or from an owner standpoint, well, your service just falls.
Yeah.
So I get it. And culture hire, I love. You're trying to develop this culture. You want to be known for that. Back to the whole Chick-fil-A type of service. When I first met you, we were both visiting the same B&I group somewhere down in Spring. I think it was at an IHOP or a Denny's. And for those of you that are like IHOP, Denny's advocates, don't get on me for mixing those two up in my head. They both do breakfast and dinner and lunch.
Might get somebody mad.
Yeah, I know. It was one of those two. And then we started chatting, and you mentioned that's one of the things that stood out, I think, the most outside of the Amazon talk was definitely I want to be the Chick-fil-A of movers. And explain to everybody what that means.
That just means the utmost customer service. Taking care of people the way they want to be taken care of. I know when I go to Chick-fil-A, I could be having a horrible day. But I know when I go to Chick-fil-A, I can expect a certain service. I can respect them to, talk to me by my name after I give it to them, of course. Get the order correctly. But not only that, hold a really good conversation. And the other day I went to Chick-fil-A. I go there way too much, at least a few times a week. But I know when we're waiting on the food, the girl at the cash register, she's talking to me. How's your day going? Or how are you doing? Or they know me, so some guys will ask me about my car because I've done stuff in my car, and we'll have a conversation about that, or just talk to my kids. But no matter who is at Chick-fil-A, they're always nice and respectful.
Yeah.
No matter, they're the part of the age group that people complain about. They're 16, 17, 18 years old, but somehow Chick-fil-A has these people down packed where they're the utmost customer service, stand-up people. And so what I mean by Chick-fil-A type of service is just when you come, you call Greenlight Movers, you're going to get somebody on the phone who's going to respect you, treat you nice. Sometimes probably spend too much time on the phone talking about whatever you want to talk about. I know I've done that myself. I come out myself personally to your home. I see your stuff, but it's not only about the move itself. It's about how we're going to take care of you. I may spend an hour after we've talked.
Let's stress that. I want to stress that because I know something that you've done. You've actually, to ensure that somebody was serviced well and to make sure that they felt that way, you as the owner, not having to move on jobs all the time like you did before, but you flew out of state. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, tell us about that. I want everybody to know how far you are willing to go.
Yeah, I'll go as far as I need to, especially if I have time
for
to do
service.
so. But for service, we had a customer that moved out to Colorado. It's actually happened a few times, but one of the ones, I don't know if you're talking to this one, A customer moved out to, I believe it was Littleton, Colorado, or somewhere out in Colorado. Long story short, the guys moved them. They were actually happy with the move. They didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know, when the move was going to be done. But I already had in my mindset that I'm going to fly out to Colorado. I'm going to drive out to their house, pop up on them on the move, and just to say hi. They've already paid for their move. The move was already paid for before the guys left. So it wasn't anything to do with getting the money. It was more about making sure they're happy.
Yeah.
So I spent more than I should have to get a round trip ticket for one day, fly in the morning, leave out that night,
Yeah.
a rental car, food while I was out there, and whatever else I had to get. But that could have been money in my pocket. It was over $1,000, but I did that to go see the customer. I just wanted to see their expression on their face when they saw me in Houston when they were loading up, and then they see me again in Colorado when they're unloading. And all my guys didn't know I was coming. Customer didn't know, so when I popped up, they're like, "Oh wow!" Their eyes lit up, and they were just so happy. And they walked me through the house.
What you just did was you created an unforgettable experience for that person, right?
Yeah.
I doubt that person or that customer is going to forget you at that point ever, right? Would you agree?
I would hope so. That's my point, is hoping that they can remember me forever, whether they move again or not. They know that Robert Green came out to their house in Colorado when they moved from Houston, had no reason at all, just to make sure they were happy. To shake their hand, look them in the eye, face to face, just make sure they were taken care of.
Everybody, y'all hear that? That's genuine. He's so service oriented that that the company just exuberates. I want to make sure you're happy.
Yeah, I can give you.
I don't care about the money in my pocket. I just want to make sure you're happy. You know what? I think I want to give them the experience of a lifetime as far as a move goes. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to make that happen. And that's going to translate so far for business, because that's passion. That's true passion for service and for that experience, that culture. That's awesome, man.
Thank you.
That is true Chick-fil-A type service.
Trying to. I'm not yet. We're getting there. Can't take that title yet. We're getting there, though.
Well, well, there's a lot of franchises.
Yeah, there's a lot of franchises.
But come on, come on. As far as, I think you're there. I see it. I have faith. I do.
We're getting there.
So I like Chick-fil-A because I don't go to Chick-fil-A, but I do like the service. They always have people outside.
Yes.
To kind of greet you. And the way that you kind of went up there, that reminded me, that's something that separates their drive-through apart from a lot of others.
Very true.
So, okay, we've talked a little bit about some of the hurdles that you experienced as a business. What are are there any hurdles that you weren't able to overcome, or anything that you just absolutely failed at?
I failed a lot. But I use all those as learning curves, speed bumps, if you will. I'm trying to think of anything I've failed on. I want to say I can't think of anything that I failed and didn't find a solution. I feel like that really goes for anybody. If you don't find a solution, then of course it's a failure. But if you fail on something, make a mistake, you find a solution, I don't really see it as a failure. But I really can't think of anything that I've done that was a failure that I never went back and tried to correct.
Nice.
But I could be wrong, though. I may just not be thinking of it right now.
No, I like the way that you put that, because you're right. A failure can only be defined as a failure if you didn't go back and try to learn from it, or try to correct it, or try to not let that happen again, right? Same thing with, similar to the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
So as we're starting to dive into the motivational stuff and try to dive into philosophy, what are some of your favorite books?
It's my favorite books. One of them is by Dale Carnegie, a famous book that everybody knows about. I'm probably going to mess up the title, but it's How to Win Friends and Influence Others, or Influence People. I always get that mixed up. That one meshed very well with me because I love people. I love talking to people. I love making people happy. And that book was all about how to really conversate with people and talk with people. That's one of my favorite ones. Another one is, I can't remember the name of the book right now. It's a book about building a franchise. And I know it's a very famous book that I can't think of right now.
What did you learn from it?
I've learned that every business, regardless if you're trying to build a franchise or not, should be like a franchise, should almost be like your blueprint if you were to start a franchise. So basically, you want to build your business up to where it runs itself. And you probably read the book. I just can't think of the book name right now, but it's a very famous book.
I probably haven't. I read mostly health books.
Okay, never mind. But basically, it was just saying that any business that you run, you should run it to a point where it's like a franchise. So everything has a process. everything has like its own life it can take off to where you can almost hand somebody a sheet of paper. This is a process for this, and anybody can run that business. So if you did want to start a franchise,
I
you could.
understand that. Yeah,
Yeah.
For me, it's similar to clientele. I want to, if I die, I need to have all the information about that client, where they're at, what we're doing, why we're doing it, clear cut for anybody to be able to take it and then run with it. This is what you were doing. This is why. I don't need to reassess this person. We don't need to start from ground zero, right?
Yeah.
If I get hit by a bus the next day, this can run itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy.
Yeah. So it's probably two of my favorite books, but I need to read more now. I've been thinking about that the other day.
I started something.
What was that? Oh, you did? Yeah.
There you go.
We got to start a book club now.
I'm in. I've never been a part of a book club.
I haven't either. I've always wanted to.
They tried to get me in a book club when I was in elementary school, and I think I was so obsessed with Captain Underpants at the time that was the only club I wanted to be a part of, was Captain Underpants.
I remember those.
Yeah?
Yeah, my daughter's on those books now.
They're still going?
They're still going.
What?
They got like a whole nother like spin-off now. It's like a dog in underwear, I think now.
What do you call that?
I don't know.
Dog? I don't know.
I couldn't come up with one.
All right. I didn't know that. I thought for sure that would be gone and they would have some sort of more
Still
intellectual
going.
meeting with the
Just like
with the
Pokemon's
book
still
fairs.
going.
Pokemon's still
Still
going?
going.
Dang. Okay. Well, childhood things, I guess, will continue to live
I
on
got
to.
kids, so I got to look at all that.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
All right. So, what are some of your goals for the company moving forward? You want a franchise, it sounds like.
Yes, I do want a franchise. I want to be like because a lot of people don't understand. Chick-fil-A is part of like what's called an unfranchise, where nobody actually owns the franchise itself besides Chick-fil-A. You're kind of like paying into a high-paying job. You pay $5,000 or $15,000 to invest in a Chick-fil-A, and you can come out making $150,000 a year or $1 million a year. That's kind of my goal, and I feel like that's the reason why Chick-fil-A has such a strong hold on their customer service and their quality, because they're not franchised like a McDonald's or a Taco Bell. They don't take a person that has a certain amount of money.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they don't take a person that has a certain amount of net worth and a certain amount of money in the bank and say, hey, you get a McDonald's or you get a Taco Bell. Chick-fil-A, they go through a whole screening process. For them, it's way more involved because they want to find somebody who's a Christian and is in church and all that. I want to follow a similar platform where I just have people who are strongly vetted. Not, hey, you have a certain amount of money, but at the end of the day, I'm still in control, so the quality is still there.
Okay.
So that is my goal at some point to be a franchise. That's way down the line.
How far down the line?
I would say probably 10 years.
Okay. So
It's
right
not
around
too
the
far,
15-year
to be
mark.
honest. Yeah.
Well, you're young.
Yeah.
How old are you?
28.
You're 28. You're younger than me?
Yeah.
Oh, dang it.
I don't like to say my age because that's when people really know.
Dang it. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Dang. When do you turn 29?
29. I turned 29 July 31st.
Okay, I'm going to remember that.
We'll see.
All right. Oh, all right.
Facebook's gonna
Challenge
remember for you.
accepted.
Facebook's gonna remember for you.
That's okay. I'll just say it wasn't Facebook.
Okay.
You know how you do that? You text and you don't write on your wall.
That's true. That's true.
That's how you get away with it. I remember you're my friend.
And good insight. I'm gonna tell you. I learned something a few weeks ago. My phone can schedule messages. I've known this for a while, but I never clicked in my head that I can actually schedule happy birthday at 12 in the morning.
Yep.
It makes somebody feel really special.
Yes, you can.
I always forget to tell somebody happy birthday until the next day.
You know what? My phone cannot multi-schedule
Mine
the
either.
message.
Not
that
for
message.
one person. It can for different people, but not for one person.
Yeah.
If I schedule one message for that person, I can't schedule another one.
Yeah. I was running into that issue for a little bit because I wanted to make sure, because I wanted to remind people to do the same, like, hey, every night, remember to do your night, every morning, remember to do your morning routine, something along those lines. But I would have to go in this day, and then I'd have to schedule it this day. It couldn't be on repeat. Sorry.
Business owner problems.
I know, business owner problems.
If you find an app, let me know that does that.
So I just decided to use Gmail. So I created a different Gmail account to go through, Google Calendar, and then just threw it in there as a day-to-day reminder and had them accept.
That's good. Well, that's a tip for y'all.
Yeah. All right. So in 10 years, everybody, Robert's going to have his first unfranchise. Right, is that proper terminology there?
Yes, it might change.
Okay. Do you have any more short-term goals or anything along those lines for the company?
Short-term goal, within the next 5 years, I want to be seen as a whole in Houston as the premier moving company, number one moving company in Houston.
How are you going to go about that?
Keep taking care of people one by one. It would be, of course, spreading out, not just mainly in the north area, but also doing more in like the Heights area, parts of Houston, Rose Sharon, areas like that. We already do work out there, but just doing more out there and just really just doing a good job is really the only way it's going to get our name out there like that.
Well,
Get us to
man,
that point.
with the service that I've seen come from you and, what I hear from other people, I have no doubt that that's going to happen because you just can't fight that. It's like that feeling. There was a song about it, I think. It was like, I got this feeling inside my bones. And it's in there, right? It gets in everybody's bones.
Oh, yeah, it's in there.
infectious.
Yeah.
It's like a personality, that person that you always want to be around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the moving company that it seems like you're creating. So how do you stay motivated? How do you stay that on point all the time?
Just the motivation is just being the best. That's enough.
Is that just a drive that's within you? Do you ever have to, are there any daily rituals or things that you do to remind yourself of that outside of waking up and seeing your family every morning?
A lot of it is waking up, seeing the family, realizing, that my kids are going to be here at some point when I'm not, and that I have to build something for them. That's probably my biggest motivation is knowing that it's not about myself. If it's just about me, you don't really need too much money to get by. But knowing that my kids need it and that I want to create a future for them, create a future for the rest of my family, make sure they don't have to work. Anybody, not even just my kids, but their kids, or my mother at some point, my aunts, my uncles, and so that's big motivation for me right there. Is just creating something for my family where they never have to work again, or have to find work. They maybe have to work again, but at least they can work for the family company instead of having to find a job. They can grow up in the business and have something really great for them as opposed to having to go to school. Or if they have their own, their own outlook of what they want to do in life, then great, but they have the opportunity to do what they want at that point and not what they have to do. Does it make sense?
It does.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's my main goal. That's what keeps me driven.
I dig it. It's a great thing to keep you driven.
And being the best is just that's enough drive as it is. I'm sure, like I said, Kobe, that was enough for him, and Michael Jordan.
Does that be the best attitude translate into other things too? Like, are you just extremely competitive?
I'm competitive at everything.
Okay.
Brian Gesser would know that.
Okay. I want to test this out. I want to
Okay.
find something for us to compete at
Okay.
outside of moving, and I want to compete at it because I want to go ahead and get out of the business talk because I've had this question in my head. So there were times when you were in the truck, maybe you were driving, and you had somebody else in the truck, and if I'm imagining a moving truck, I've been in a U-Haul, so it's kind of like this single cab. You're in there and it's got the bucket seat, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. What were some of the most embarrassing moments in that cab?
I mean, I can tell you embarrassing moments for other people. They've been sleeping farting in their
Yeah.
sleep. It's pretty embarrassing. We're all guys. For me, I probably farted in my sleep maybe when I was asleep. I can't really think of in the truck embarrassing. I mean, we've talked probably about embarrassing stories that we've had. But embarrassing, I mean, I've fallen off the truck before. Didn't hurt myself, so it was more embarrassing than painful.
Well, it was still,
Well, I wasn't moving, of course, yeah. But in the cab, I mean, nothing really embarrassing. We're all guys, so there's nothing really embarrassing could happen. It's just more funny. Somebody's asleep, they're in a good dream, and you just hear something rip. You gotta roll the windows down. Well, besides that, nothing really embarrassing, I would say.
Okay, I've been itching to ask
get
that
something out of
question. I am.
Yeah, I see
I'm
that.
trying to get something out of you without trying to dive too deep. But I had to change that.
I don't get embarrassed by much either way. I get called out a
whenever
lot.
you lose the competition that
That would be
that's
yes,
going to be embarrassing.
That's embarrassing enough. Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's going to happen whether we're playing horseshoes or hacky sack. No,
I
we're
never
not
played
gonna play
horseshoes,
hacky
but you're gonna
sack.
get beat in horseshoes. I never played hacky sack. I don't know how you could play hacky sack.
I don't know how to play hacky
You
sack.
get
either.
beat in that too.
No, it's not going to happen. I played horseshoes once, I think. I don't remember, but you're going to die. You're going to go down.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, we can play some bags.
What's bags?
Cornhole.
Is that cornhole?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I played cornhole once too,
Yeah.
and I don't remember how it went. But we could play cornhole.
Okay.
You're going. I don't know. Wait a minute. Talk to me about your history.
I mean, I don't have much history. Brian's the one who's the grand champion when it comes to cornhole.
Well, that's because he put his logo on some cornhole boards, and
He doesn't want to admit it, but he's been beat.
Has he?
He's been beat.
I believe it.
I've probably beat him once.
What about foosball?
Foosball. I mean, we can play foosball. I played. It's been a while.
It's been a while for me too.
Yeah.
But I feel like foosball is a good way to go.
All right,
Cornhole,
foosball.
too many environmental factors.
All right.
Yeah. We get indoors. There's no wind. There's no excuses. You,
right.
me, and about 50 other little people.
Little people.
Board.
Oh, little people on the board.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, are we doing this at like a daycare or something?
No, that'd be taking it too far. But yeah, the 50 little people on the foosball board.
All right.
Whatever you, board thing, twist knobs. That thing.
So where are we doing this at?
Who do you know
Main
has
Event
a foosball?
has one.
They
I don't
do?
know anybody personally that has
Then
one.
we're going to go to Main Event. And we're
All
going to
right.
play. Main Event has foosball?
I think so.
Yeah.
They got pool.
Alright.
So they
We're
got to
not
have
going to play
foosball.
pool. All right. Either or. Stay tuned to figure out who wins between whatever competition Robert and I go to. Did you have fun?
We're here?
Yeah.
I always have fun.
Any last motivational words to the people?
One thing I would say is, I always say be optimistic. Life is hard. I don't know which camera you look at, but life is hard. Life is very stressful.
Just can you continue to
There
look
we
at
go.
all of them?
No, but seriously, life, there's a lot of things that are thrown our way. We can see this year, last year, things don't always go the way we want it. But my mindset is I'm very optimistic, very positive, and I realize that it's always going to work out at the end of the day. Always going to work out. Whatever obstacle you're going over, it's always going to work out. As long as you try to work hard towards it and do everything you can to make it happen, it's always going to happen. Don't want to get too religious, but the man upstairs always got it handled. He looks at you. He knows that if you're doing your best effort to try to get to that goal, whatever it may be, is going to make it happen. It may not happen when you want it to happen, but you'll be able to look back and say, okay, that didn't happen when I wanted it to happen, but because that didn't happen, this happened, and this is a wonderful thing in my life. And you'll just be able to look back and see all the great things that happen usually happen from mistakes or from issues. So just know that when it's hard right now, it's going to get better at some point in the future. That's what keeps me going.
I like it. All right. One more thing. How can everybody contact you?
So you can contact me on Facebook, Robert Green. I'm one of like a million Robert Greens, unfortunately, so you may not find me.
Just keep scrolling.
Just keep scrolling.
He's there.
You'll see a little headshot of me like in a gray shirt. But if not, you can find me at Robert Green at glmovers.com. It's my email. You can also find us at our website, glmovers.com. You can find a lot of information about us and about myself as well. And then on Instagram.
You do have a really nice website.
Thank you. You can thank Andy King and Holly King with Pinpoint Marketing for that. They're
It's a great website.
Yes, they do a good job. They do a really good job. So I love them. But anyways, you can find me there. Website, Greenlight Movers on Instagram. And that's pretty much everything. Like I said, you won't find me on Robert Green because I'm one of like a million, but you'll find Greenlight Movers, that's for sure.
All right. If anybody ever needs any if anybody ever has any moving needs, go ahead and reach out to Greenlight Movers. Reach out to Robert and the crew. And Robert, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a blast, and I feel motivated, and I feel happier. So.
I mean, I'll always feel happy on with you.
Same. Okay, we're gonna hug it out, everybody. Have a great day.